Welcome to the show, Lemonade with the Seth Brothers. When life throws you lemons, what do? You make lemonade. And this evening, we had some lemons thrown at us, having some technology issues, trying to get his audio going on FM and on Facebook Live. We have a guest on the show tonight, Anthony Eisenman, and we're trying to get him to hear us. Give us a few minutes and we'll be all situated. Natasha, you got it going?
Nearly there. But how about you introduce us? Tell us about your week. Tell us about what we're going to be listening to and what we're going to be doing on the show today.
Absolutely. So this evening we have Anthony Eisenman. He's based in Seattle, Washington, being an entrepreneur, business owner for over 3 decades. But his specialization is where he helps people get exponential success, where he works with top Fortune 500 companies. And what he does is creates entrepreneurs that create exponential wealth for their kids, grandkids, and next few generations. What makes his strategy unique is that he has a valuable marketplace and strategy where he helps people in sales get to next level of success. So as we get Anthony on the call this evening, he's going to share with us his mindset, his strategies of creating exponential success for next few generations. Welcome back to the show, Lemonade with the Seth Brothers. And this evening, this is your host, Kunal, and I have in the studio through Zoom Live, Anthony Eisenman. Anthony, can you hear us tonight?
I can hear you, buddy. You sound perfect. Can you hear me?
That's what I'm talking about. We had
Made it happen, buddy.
At us, and we had some technical issues. All blame goes to me. I should have done better planning, but here we are live on the radio. And Anthony joins us from Seattle, Washington. So great to have you on the show tonight, Anthony. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. I heard your buddy in the back, man. He said, just go live, man. Make it happen. Just go live. And that's all we needed to do.
You know what? That's what my friend over here, Matt, he's been trained, he's been coached, and he believes in ready, fire, and aim. He said, what's going to go wrong? Let's go live. So without wasting a whole lot of time, Anthony, I'm super excited to introduce you to our audience tonight. We are live on radio show and live on Facebook. Share with us your background, your experience, because you have influenced, impacted people at an international level. And you work with Fortune 500 companies. Your core philosophy is you help people be more effective in sales and partner at business to business level. So share with us your mindset strategy and how you've become so successful in such a short period of time, Anthony.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you having me on, and I'm excited to chat with you. You know, really my story starts at a place, it's really out of, I didn't have any other options, man. I mean, when I graduated high school, I was working at a fast food restaurant. So, I grew up in a single family household. My father went to jail for 13 years. So I was still trying to figure things out, so there was a point in my life where I had friends going off to college. I'm working, fast food. So I had to figure out what I was going to do to make it in this world. And long story short, I figured sales, right? Learning how to sell was going to make me the most valuable to the marketplace. So, fast forward 30 years, I've been selling in all different verticals, but about 15 years ago, I really realized that selling into the enterprise space, selling into large Fortune 500, companies can exponentially grow your, your revenue, exponentially grow your wealth. So I really started to master that. And now I teach people who are in sales how to get to that really, that 0.01% level of being a salesperson, so that you can really generate a high income for yourself, right? And then you can take that income and start to invest it in your brand, real estate, cash flowing assets, things like that. So long story short, that's kind of where we're at.
Love it, Anthony. And what we're talking about is most people target customers directly to sell a product, sell a service. But your philosophy is if you partner at business to business level, B2B level, that's where you get exponential success. And exponential success, not just for you, for your family, next few generations. I understand you also have 2 young kids, 4-year-old and 6-year-old. And God bless you, your wife is expecting your 3rd baby. So congratulations on that, Anthony.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm having babies at 40, man. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking, but, just rolling with the punches at this point.
Correct. You shared with me early on today that your vision is to leave a generational wealth for your kids and for your grandkids. So share with us on the listeners tonight, how does business to business marketing strategies applied with current trends of digital marketing get you exponential success? Because most of us in sales, we target a buyer, a seller, one-to-one transaction. So having the big mindset, global mindset of having business to business, how was that seed planted in you? Because you shared with us, you grew up in a single mom household. Your dad was behind bars for over a decade, but you had to put your head down, get focused. You were also into juvenile households. You went through probation. You went through a lot of negatives in your life. But today, 2022, Anthony is a name to reckon with, based out of Seattle. You're impacting business owners all around the country. So share with us how your business-to-business mindset or seed was planted in your strategy of growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, and this is what I try to teach people is when you're first getting started in your career, right? You kind of take and pick, these opportunities that come your way because you don't have a lot of experience, or you're not knowledgeable, or you're not an expert in a certain space. But over time, as you continue to hone your skills and you become a leader in your space and you become more of an expert and you have an idea of how to navigate, your career. For me, it was being in sales. There comes a point where you just have to take your career seriously. And I think there's a lot of sales professionals that got one foot in and one foot out, right? They think, well, I'll be in sales for a little bit, and then if a new opportunity comes along, I'm going to take that, right? And I tell people, sales, you need to go all in on sales, right? You need to learn hone your craft, become a master of it, and then you become more valuable to the marketplace. Okay. And the way you become more valuable to the marketplace is by learning to sell, because as you know, right, every company needs to generate revenue. Every company needs new customers, right? Every customer needs that. Every company needs that for growth, right? So if you're in the marketplace and you know how to drive revenue, you know how to get customers, right? You know how to keep customers, you're always going to be valuable to the marketplace, right? So I would say the first thing is, if somebody's in sales right now and, they're thinking about, well, I don't want to be in sales, or something else comes on, go all in on sales and learn your craft, hone your craft, and it'll really give you an opportunity to earn more income and start to generate some real wealth.
So right, Anthony, and here's where it is. People probably do not accept it, but everyone has inherent skills to be a salesperson. We sell ourselves at work, to our family members, to our kids. In fact, even convincing my young kids to eat their breakfast on time, I have to be a salesperson, give them some incentives. Hey, if you finish your breakfast on time or lunch on time, here's what we're going to do. So whether you are truly in a sales job or not, but having the right sales skills allows you to have a position of success. And that position of success brings financial success, not just to you, to your family. So share with us, Anthony, over all these years, 3 decades of influencing, coaching people, some success stories of people that you helped partner with the right Fortune 500 companies. How did you go about doing that, Anthony?
Yeah, and you make a great point, right? About your kids, at breakfast. It's not just about sales, right? So I teach people, learn psychology, learn persuasion, learn all these different attributes that make people a great salesperson. But yeah, so to answer your second question there, what I teach people is, everybody can make a sale, right? You make a sale to you, and that's one stream, one sale. But there's Fortune 500 companies out there that have multiple locations across the country. Okay. And they have to implement product and service across their whole portfolio. This is what we call the enterprise sale. Okay. So what I teach people and what I coach people on is, once you master the basics of sales, I really want you to start focusing on the enterprise sale. The enterprise sale is selling into large organizations that have multiple locations across the country, that have multiple decision makers, right? It's a long sales cycle, right? But you can really exponentially grow your income because you're selling large, complex deals, right? So these enterprise sales positions that are out there, software as a service, a lot of IT products, physical security products. These are where you can really get in and start to make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year selling. So that's what I coach people on. Once you learn the basics of sales, let's get you focused on making a career choice like an investor, right? And getting into the enterprise sale, right? And then I talk to them how they can negotiate some investment income with their employer, which is another huge step, which we can talk about.
Love the concept, Anthony. So it's about enterprise sales. Would you mind sharing, are there specific industries you specialize in or had the most success in enterprise sales?
Yeah. So the most, I'm a large shareholder in a privately held organization right now. We're a security integration company. So what we do is we source and install physical security components for retail, banking, grocery, right? So think about these large organizations that you can look at the top Fortune 100. I'm not going to name any names, but any of those organizations need physical security, right? So my company that I'm a large shareholder in, will go out and we'll install these components, but they have to do it across their whole portfolio. So we're not just doing it at one mom and pop. We're doing it at XYZ Fortune 100 company that has to do it across 5,000 locations across the country, right? So that's how you can exponentially grow revenue. But as salespeople, we're problem solvers, right? At the end of the day. So the bigger the organization, the bigger the problems you're solving, the more money you're going to make. And the problem is that most people don't want to wait out the long sales cycle, right? There's a lot of salespeople that don't have the patience, whether financially they're pressed, or maybe they're in a bad situation and their family or whatever's going on. They don't have that time to outweigh or to outlast that 12, 18, 24-month sales cycle. So that's very important. That's why I coach people as well, is that you got to have all the aspects of your life have to be in order to be successful at sales. Your health, right? Your family life, right? All these other aspects, all these other gardens of your life play an important piece for you to be successful at sales. Most of the time, people, they can't outlast the sales cycle. That's why they don't succeed.
So more long-term planning instead of short-term. But someone who's just in sales, could be a car salesperson, could be a realtor. How do you empower them to think big and think about enterprise level? What roadblocks do they see when they are looking at from microscope level rather than looking at a macro level, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I coach people on, is you have to manage your sales career like it's your own business. You're the CEO, right, of your own organization. These are your customers. These are your relationships that you're building. You should be responsible for the P&L, the profit and loss of your own organization, right? So, when you talk about thinking bigger, most people, their goals that they set for themselves are way too low. So if I get a new coaching client, maybe it's somebody who's maybe they're selling cell phones, or maybe they're selling cars, or whatever that looks like. I say, give me your best year you've ever had, right? And we're going to times it by 2.5 times. That's going to be your new that's going to be your new W-2 goal for this year. And that blows them out of the water, right? But the thing is that 80% of the time, if they do what I tell them to do, they'll hit that number or come close, right? But if you were making 100,000 and I told you, let's set your goal at 250, you'd be like, well, shoot, right? But if you hit 200, you'd be ecstatic, right? So let's shoot for the stars, right? And if we miss, let's land on the moon, right? That's the goal.
Would you mind sharing some specific nuggets or strategy you've trained people on that gets them next level of success, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing that we see with people that aren't hitting their sales goals is activity, right? It's always activity. So, and the number one activity piece is prospecting. So if any salesperson is out there and they're listening, it's your job to go out and find the business. Do not rely on your company to give you leads. That's what makes you valuable to the marketplace. Go out and find your target market, your ideal client, pick up the phone, send the emails, whatever it is. And here's the deal. Most people think that they're prospecting enough, but they're not. So here's my tip, my number one tip for salespeople. You should be prospecting 80% of the time until your calendar is so full with new customer meetings that you can't do it anymore. Nobody can hit that activity level or nobody has been doing that activity level that we see. And if they ramp up to that point, they will hit their sales goals. I don't know in your world, Kunal, but I mean, activity on the front end prospecting is the number one thing that's going to drive revenue on the back end.
Love it. I agree with you. And then Anthony, in terms of creating leverage, when your calendar gets booked up day in, day out, Saturday or Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, but you want to take on the best of the clients or best of client servicing opportunities, how do you create leverage in that? Is it about hiring the right resources, partnering the right people, creating LLCs? What are your thoughts over there, Anthony?
Yeah, so there comes a point where you have to do a couple things, right? You have to exit out of the day-to-day so that you can grow the business, right? So one is you have to embrace delegation. That's the first thing, right? You got to find ways to embrace delegation. And there's right and wrong ways to do that, right? Some people will delegate something to somebody and then they'll be following up with them every day over their shoulder to check if they did it right. That's not delegation. That's going to provide more stress for you, right? So there's things that you need to do. One, you need to embrace delegation. You need to have some systems and processes in place, right? So that when you're not there in the business, it's operating, right? And you can focus on growing the business. You have to figure out ways to reduce your stress. And fourth is you have to have a sales system that's constantly generating revenue, predictable revenue for you so that you can go out and continue to grow your business. So, I tell people embrace delegation is one, but also reducing stress, systems and processes. And then the fourth thing is some sort of predictable revenue with sales generation.
I agree with you over there, Anthony. We're having system process in place, having a predictable plan of success every day, every week, month, year, and for a decade foresight is critical. But hiring the right resources on your team, I believe, is the foundation of every successful organization, or is the biggest reason why organizations fail. So as an organization about 5-6 years back, we adapted a model that we hire resources based on their personality type and their skills. Have you heard about disc profiling, Anthony?
I have, absolutely have. We've used it. I used it. I'm a high D, I think.
Well, there's no question. You're a DI, high driver,
Yep.
high interaction, and so am I. So on a scale, we have 4 components. There is D for driver, I for interactive, S is stabilizer, and C is someone who's cautious, DISC. And everyone has an inherent way of operating inherently, and whether they are a driver or interactive or socializer or someone who's cautious. So I'm personally, on a scale of 1 to 100, a 99D, a 99I, and very low S and C. What that means is that me and my wife are complete opposites. My wife is a SC all the way. I'm a DI all the way. When we have to go out for dinner, Anthony, and I ask her, honey, where do you want to go? She says, wherever you want to go. What do you want to eat? Whatever you want to do. I don't care. I'm easygoing. On the other hand, you ask Kunal, where do you want to go? I'll say, I want to go to that restaurant. I want to eat this kind of food, and I want to sit on that table. So high Ds are directive. They have inherent leadership skills. At the same time, your S and Cs, stabilized and cautious people, are the ones you want to have them do tasks which are mundane, over and over repetitive tasks. They're okay to sitting behind a desk, okay with not interacting with people, but they're the best people for checks and balances. If you want to make sure a process is running smoothly, they have to have the SC skill sets in them. You want someone to be in sales, go out prospect for buyers or clientele. That's where high I comes in. Nobody is a stranger to them. I'll give you an example. You walk into an elevator. If you have someone who's high D, will be the first one to jump and push the button, what floor you want to go on. Someone who's high C will look around. How many people are on the elevator? What's the weight limit? Are we going to be able to sustain the weight or not? Someone who's high I, interactive person, will talk to everyone. How you doing? How's your day going? Where are you headed to? What floor? Why not? Where this? That's a high I. Someone who's high S, someone who's stabilizer, would step back, make room for other people, let them in, hold the door for next person jumping off one floor to the next floor. So that's 4 profiles of people. Now, there's no right and there's no wrong. But here's where it is. Every organization needs a D, needs an I, needs an S, and needs a C. When you put them in the right position of success, that's where businesses flourish. And I'll tell you what, Anthony, over the last 6 years, we've had an active job posting 24/7 for realtors, for marketing associates, for admin, all of those people. We have over 11,000 applicants. And we use a software tool to determine what the profile type is. So when we look to recruit people, we look at, if you're coming in a sales job position, you got to be high I and medium to low D. If you're coming in an operations role to do tasks over and over again, you got to be S and C. So right resources using tools like disc profiling is a blessing. And a lot of people don't take advantage of that, Anthony.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of tools and resources like that, things and technology that's smarter than us, right? That can make decisions at scale, I think is very important. We do use the DISC assessment in one of our companies as well. And I think a lot has to do with environment too. So on the sales side, we want to give our salespeople an entrepreneurial environment to where they can thrive and build that book of business and manage it themselves, right? So they really feel like they are the CEO of their own destiny. So I think that's important as well.
I agree, Anthony. I agree. So your journey, 30 years entrepreneur, and you're helping people get to next level of success. Your first, second generation of leaving wealth for them is your core philosophy. But when you work with people who are driven by day-to-day goals, day-to-day activity, I just got to make my day for the day, pay my bills, and be happy. But shifting them to think big, think long-term, that to me is a big roadblock when I work with resources or team members. How do you go over that roadblock, Anthony?
Yeah, so I think, everybody has to, have a 5 and 10 year plan, right? And I think there's a lot of people that kind of live in that day-to-day mundane, just try to survive. And to get them out of that, you got to be a leader with vision, but you also have to allow them and get them to paint the picture for themselves, right? Because there was a time in my life when I was living day-to-day and I couldn't see, right, a certain income that that maybe was my goal. And so I've been there. So I can talk to both sides of this, right? I can talk to the guy that was struggling to make ends meet. And I can talk to the guy that, right now is investing in real estate and, has money and capital to invest in certain things. So, it's really giving people the environment to succeed. And there's a few things that we do to help them think big, right? So I want to give people, in my company, I want to give people unlimited commissions. I want to give them some stock options. I want to give them some equity to earn. I think that's huge. And I want to give them some profit sharing, right? And even if you're not working for my company, I teach salespeople, once they learn the enterprise sale, that you become so valuable to the marketplace, you can negotiate these things when you go to, interview at companies. There's companies that will give you stock options. We're a privately held company and we give stock options. We have unlimited commissions. So there's no cap, right? Work your butt off, you make a ton of money, and then profit sharing, right? If you're doing well, the company's doing well, you get a percentage of the profit. And I think those three things, if you go talk to any MBA and when they get out of school, they go work for a company and Deloitte, those are the three things they're looking for, right? And salespeople can get those same three things at a lot of these different companies without an MBA. So that's what I try to teach people is you can think bigger, by getting those three things, because that now you're earning investment income through an employer, right? And exponentially grow your income. You can get up to that $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year level, and then you can start to take some of that income and invest it in some stocks, some real estate, your brand, start to do some other things to generate some real wealth.
Share with us, Anthony, last 20 to 24 months, we all have been dealing with a curveball or lemon thrown at us from COVID-19. It impacted a lot of businesses where they're shut down. But you do a lot of digital marketing, but you're also an influencer. How did COVID-19 play a role or impact your business from growth perspective?
Well, we've been lucky. Personally, I've been lucky. Revenue wise, we had I had my two best years that I can remember on the business side. And a lot of that had to do with, the strategy that I took during COVID. And that was, whether my customers are buying or not, I'm still going to get in front of them because we're all dealing with this challenge, right? So I want to understand the customer. What are you dealing with now, right? We're COVID's hit. How are you getting through this? What is your strategy? How can I help? Even when they're not buying, that really paid off, right? Over the last 24 months. My relationships with my big customers have never been better. Revenue's up. And that really, really helped. So, as a tip for anybody who's listening out there, the takeaway is, stay in front of your customers and keep those relationships even when they're not buying, right? Because it's really, really important. During this pandemic, I think a lot of people looked at themselves and said, shoot, man, how do I meet? What do I got? But we looked at our customers, and I think that really paid off. On the social media side, I took advantage of the time, right? So I was able to create more content. I was able to get more content out. I was able to build more relationships online. So I was just stayed really, really productive, and that's paid off as well, right? So, I think it all goes back to my core belief of just trying to find solutions as opposed to dwelling on problems, right? And I think that's something that I've tried to do for the past 20 some odd years. And it's worked up to this point, and I'm a positive person. I know people don't want to hear the positivity stuff all the time, but listen, we only have so much energy, right? So I can either use that energy to focus on negative things, or I can use that energy to focus on solutions, and that's just what has worked for me.
What I love about your story, Anthony, is you are the first generation person in your family where all the challenges you had growing up with your dad going behind bars for over a decade, single mom, foster home, juvenile, probation, all of those things. But at this age and timeline, you are in a position of exponential success, but you're sharing your knowledge base, expertise with other people. What I also believe in, Anthony, is that you got to be uber successful. In order to be successful, you got to have the first generation mindset, which is about waking up every morning thinking, what do I got to do today to take my business, to take my success to next level? What you accomplished yesterday, last week, last month is history. And people forget about struggles people go through when they start a business, when they're first to America or first one to go to college. I came to US about 20 years back, first generation American. And my kids, they were born in America, by default US citizens. The struggles I went through coming to America, I would never forget them. First one in my family to start my own business, being a realtor. And as you go down in generations, 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, people take things for granted. For you, for example, my friend Anthony, you moved from a small town to big town. Now you live in Seattle, right? Popular city, lot of success over there. But moving from small town to over there, the struggles you went through with your single mom, your kids will never know that. And I believe if we can instill the mindset, what we go through as first generation Americans or first generation entrepreneur or business owner, those values, if they're reactivated, we're going to be unstoppable and we're going to be uber successful. What are your thoughts on that, Anthony?
Yeah, I think that's the challenge, right? I talk about that with my wife all the time, is that, I learned a lot growing up because my mom didn't have the resources to get me out of every jam. So I had to figure them out on my own. And I think those are the types of things that give you the grit to be successful when it comes to getting into the real world. Unfortunately, I have the resources to bail my kids out of no matter what they get into. There's nothing that they could do that I wouldn't be able to help them out of. So it's how do we allow them to fail on their own, right? And let them learn some lessons on their own, and without always bailing them out, right? So that's going to be the challenge. If you have any tips for me, I'd love to hear them because I think, that's always going to be the challenge, right? Is how do we use our resources the right way and not sugarcoat everything for our kids? Because you're right, they're never going to know. They're never going to know the struggle. They'll never know it. They're going to have a completely different life than I did, which is great. That's the goal, right? But it's also the challenge.
And as funny as it sounds, I have 2 young boys, 6 and 7-year-old, 2 boys. And sometimes they do get into fights, for a toy or a car or something, and they actually are, hitting each other and fighting. I stand right there, just look at them, let them fight it out,
Yeah.
They can't just jump in and discipline them all the time. And here's my mom, here's my dad, the grandparents. What are you doing? Stop them, and they'll get hurt. I said, if they get hurt, they'll learn the hard way, because
Yeah, I
they
like
need to
that.
understand hitting someone or being aggressive on someone is not the right thing. But if you just keep stopping them, the aggression builds up, builds up, builds up. So here's where the generational difference between I'm 43, you said you're 40-year-old. We all the Generation X people, born in 70s and early 80s.
Yep.
And what we went through growing up, we did not have the internet growing up. We used to play outside. Now our kids, they do everything but play outside. They want to be on the video games, watch TV, watch all the shows. The shift that we are going through now in next generation as they grow up, being on the phone, being on the internet is going to be second nature. I remember moving to US 20 plus years back, being on a computer, buying a laptop was a privilege. It was a luxury, let alone owning a car. But the next few generations, unless we talk about the struggles we went through growing up, what we did to get to this country or leave from one town to big town or going to college, those values have to be talked about and shared with them over and over again. I love what you're sharing today, Anthony. Now, someone listening into the show tonight, they want to reach out to you and get your strategies, get you to coach them, mentor them, to build business with enterprises, build business with B2B partnership. How they reach out to you? What's your handle? LinkedIn, Facebook? What's the best way to reach out to you, Anthony?
Yeah, so the best way to find me is on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn and Twitter and all that. But if you just go to @Anthony Eisenman, Anthony Eisenman on Instagram, the link in my bio will get you to everything that you need to know. We do have some coaching programs. I got some books on Amazon for regarding sales. I got a bunch of free coaching products as well. And you can get to all that right from my Instagram handle @Anthony Eisenman. And I appreciate you having me on, man. It was a blast.
Love it. Any final thoughts, tips for listeners tonight? What you want to share with them to grow their business or get more success in 2022, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for all the salespeople out there, if you're in sales, go all in, man. Hone your craft, learn it, master the game, and then if you can, like I said, pivot into the enterprise sale where you can exponentially solve more problems, grow more revenue, work with bigger companies, and then if you have the opportunity to negotiate your pay, I would go for unlimited commissions, stock options, and profit sharing, so you can really grow your income. And then once you have a high income that you deserve, start looking at, your brand, investing in yourself, investing in stocks, and investing in real estate. That's really the blueprint that's got me where I'm at and what I coach on today.
Love it, Anthony. I'm so glad you shared your knowledge base, your expertise with the listeners tonight and on Facebook. Thank you so much for making time for us and those lemons thrown at us, the complexities, the boo-boos we had on the radio show live tonight with audio not coming out. Things are lessons learned. I just made some lemonade. I had an exciting show tonight. But thank you so much, Anthony, for joining us from Seattle over here. And we look forward to hearing more from you and bringing more success to you and your family in 2022. Thank you, Anthony, for your time tonight.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it, man. Take care.
So guys, we're gonna